All right, so today's project is going to be on texture and how to draw different textures, in this case feathers, for this ostrich. We're going to do kind of exaggerated eyes and beak, and then we're going to add in feathers, and we're going to be very aware of how our pencil is starting on the inside and working its way out so that we can do essentially the brush strokes of that pencil is going to make the texture of the feathers. So instead of just coloring it in or coloring any direction, we're going to be very intentional about what direction we color it. But first we're going to start with a pencil. And you can use crayons for this project, colored pencils, markers, or a combination of those. Whatever you have, feel free to use. So you can substitute. If you don't have markers, use crayons. If you don't have crayons, use markers or colored pencils. They all kind of work. But I like to use a different material for the eyes and beak than I do for the feathers if you have two different things. So in the video, I'm going to do pencil and then marker for the eyes and the beak, and then color pencil for the feathers. We're going to start in the center of the page with two circles, pretty big, for our eye. If you want, you can get like a small jam jar or cup, like a small cup, and trace a circle if you want. And then we're going to add kind of an exaggerated, almost like an eyelash or like eyebrow coming from the center and working its way up, kind of like in Angry Birds, how they have that angry kind of eyebrow coming up. Then inside that circle, you're going to draw another circle for the pupil and another teeny tiny circle that's going to be a highlight. That's going to stay white. Then we're going to move on to our beak. The beak is going to curve up in between the eyes like a hill. It's actually below the eyes, but it's going in between in the center. So the highest point should fall in the center between the eyes. And then you're going to kind of do the opposite when you go down and do the lower beak. So it's going to dip down to a rounded point. And, you know, remember to draw light. If you accidentally draw it too big, draw it smaller. And then after you draw it correctly, you can go back and erase the mistake one. And I did two lines there to be the top beak, and then you just see just a little bit of the bottom beak, and then two little nostrils. Now I'm tracing everything with a black Sharpie marker. Again, if you don't have a black marker, you can use a black crayon, a black color pencil, or just press really hard with a regular pencil. Once you get it all outlined, we are going to color in the eyes. You can pick any color you want for the eyes. I think I'm going to do green. And then color the inside circle black, other than that tiny little dot. And that will be our pupil. And I actually make a mistake when I do this and accidentally color the pupils. I start to color it green. And instead of crumpling it up, I just get a black marker and color right over it. And I'm using an orange marker right now to color in the beak. Whenever you're coloring in, whether it be marker or colored pencil or crayon, always try and outline the outside of the shape first, and then pick one direction and color in one direction. That little outline that I did will make sure I don't go over the line, and then it will just look neater and cleaner if you pick one direction and color in one direction rather than every which way. It ends up looking messy. So here's where I do the green, and I accidentally start coloring the inside one, which I'm not supposed to be doing in color. That one's supposed to be black. I realize it, and then start on the outside part of the circle, which is what I was supposed to be coloring. And then I just go back and color over it with a black marker. Or if you don't have a black marker, a black crayon. You know, if you make a mistake, just roll with it. So notice I'm outlining, and then I'm kind of coloring in the direction of the circle. So I'm curving with the direction of the shape. Now I'm coloring in the black part of the pupil, and I leave that little tiny circle white for my reflection. Again, outlining and then coloring in. Okay, now for the feathers. You can do any colors you want. You can do crayon, marker, color pencil. The main thing is you're going to start in the center and work your way out. The reason why is when you press down, the first mark is always going to be the widest right when you set your pencil down. And as you drag up, it's going to get skinnier, which is what a feather does. So we want to go with that and always start down at the bottom and then pull up. So not going back and forth and coloring it in solid, but instead doing a line, picking your pencil up, and then going back to the center and doing another line. Then I'm going back and adding little details, so little tiny lines coming out from the center of each line. This is going to add even more texture and make it look like tiny little fluffy feathers are sticking off each side of the main feather. You can do the whole ostrich, working your way around one color, or you can do multiple colors. I decided to do a bunch of different rainbow colors. So again, start towards the center and then work your way out almost like a clock. So you're going to start at 12 noon and work your way around. So where the 3 would be on a clock, you're doing your line straight horizontal. And where the 6 is, you'd be going straight down. So you're slowly going like around a clock, basically. So your lines are going to change direction, but they're always going to start in the middle and work their way out towards the edge. And don't be afraid to draw your line right off the paper so that it looks like the bird keeps going off the paper. Once you get all of your lines in, you can go back with those little detailed tiny lines all over, and you can add some little tiny feathers coming down the bridge of the nose in between the eyes. And there you go.